Okay, let's work on making a template. Now the factory that's going to be making the hair system needs the template so that they can not only get the shape of your scalp area that they're going to be molding the base of this thing to, but also the coverage area where it's going to go and the shape of the front. So what you're going to want to do first is take and wet your scalp down. Some places tell you can send in measurements, but I'm telling you, you're a lot better off if you just make a template and send that in. If they give you a fitting kit that you can use that. Otherwise, make a template. Now I got some plastic wrap that I pulled out. It's about, I don't know, shoulder width. I'll just pull it out to about shoulder width and then chop it off. And of course it's cling wrap, and cling wrap has a tendency to stick, as you can see. That's the purpose of wetting down our scalp. So we'll just take this big mess here and put it up there and start straightening it out. First thing I'll do is I'll take these extra long ends and tie it down underneath my chin. Nice and snug there. And now you'll see where the use of the water on the scalp comes into play here. Makes it a lot easier to roll this stuff back out after it clings together. And it always seems to have that tendency to want to cling, so that's why we get the scalp wet. That makes it a lot easier for us to control our situation there. And so just smooth it out so that it's about as flat as you can get it and nice and tight on your scalp, and then we'll take our black marker and we'll start drawing out the coverage area as far as the back and the sides. I always like to start in the back and the sides first because it seems to just be a little bit easier to start there. So we'll just kind of draw this back. Now one thing that I can tell you is I don't really try to get it absolutely positively perfect when I'm drawing it out, because I like mine to be just a tiny bit shorter, and this is just a personal thing that I do. You don't have to do it this way. I like mine to be just a tiny bit smaller than what my coverage area actually is, because I like to take mine and stretch it out so that it fits skin tight. So if I make it so that it fits exactly to my coverage area, then it's not going to be stretched out at all. It's just going to lay down on there and just be. Now we're going to draw the front. Now in order to draw the front, where do you start? You know, that's the big question. How far down should I have my hairline? One thing you don't want your hairline coming way down to here. It just doesn't make any sense. The rule of thumb for most people, take 3 fingers and put them up to your eyebrows, and at the very top of the 3rd finger is where about the hairline should start. That'll give you a much more natural look. The 3-finger rule is just a rule of thumb. You know, some people might want to go 2 fingers. If you want your hairline to start down that low, then I guess that's just a personal preference. But most people's hairlines, if you take a look, they've got at least 3 fingers worth of bare forehead before their hairline starts. So take your 3 fingers, put the marker up into the middle at the very, very top of where your highest finger is. Okay, so after you've drawn the hairline out, you're going to want to take and mark the front of it with an F. So we'll just go ahead and do that now. And you're also going to want to take and put your name on it, and in my case, you know, I can just put my name on here real quick. Now it's time to start reinforcing this thing with tape. Now I'll just take this regular tape that you can find all over the place. It's just regular width and thin thickness, and just put some right across the very front. You might as well tear out a whole bunch of these and just get ready to start putting them on there, because the more of these that you put on there, the better. This is going to reinforce the shape of this thing. And you might think that this is kind of a cheesy way to do this, but that's all that the factory needs. You know, they don't need you to take and make all of these plaster molds and plaster castings and everything. Some saran wrap reinforced with some tape the shape drawn out is all that you need. So we'll just take our tape and just go all the way from the front to the back. And like I say, the more of these that you put on there, the better. So it's going to keep its shape really well while it's being shipped. Now I'm actually going to be using two different kinds of tape. My first layer of tape, like I said, it's the tape that's a little bit skinnier in width and it's extremely thin in thickness. The thickness of the tape this way is very, very, very important, that you don't get one that's too thick, because if you get a tape that's really thick, it has a tendency to take the plastic and sort of shrink it. And then your template is a lot smaller than what you intended, which is something that we don't want. A little bit smaller maybe, because you can take just about any base that they make them out of, whether it be lace, mono, a skin base. You can take any base that they make and stretch it just a little bit to fit. If you order it just a tiny bit undersized, you know, I'm talking 3 millimeters undersized or 1/8 of an inch. Okay, I got plenty of this tape on now. I think I'll start using my wider tape so that this job goes a little bit faster. But like I say, the only thing about these wider tapes, these wider shipping tapes, just make sure that it's really, really thin. If you can't get the really, really thin ones, then just lay down a layer of the thin, skinnier tape that I was using earlier first, so that that will reinforce it enough that the wider, thicker tape will be unable to shrink the template. Just put one more on the very front here. So you've got it marked with your name. You've got the front and back of it marked. Your head's probably kind of sweaty by now and tired of having this thing on, so go ahead and take it off. Now, see how having that tape on there helps to keep the contour, you know. It keeps it looking just like the shape of my own scalp is on there. So now at this point you can take and get your scissors out and trim around where you drew it, and they'll make it to whatever you trim it to with your scissors. So, and if you want, you can put it back on after you've trimmed it and just realign it and maybe trim some more off of it, you know. And that's all that you have to do. And take this and